Hey, Blue Crew, it's me again. I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different today and go completely unscripted. Our topic today is how to find or how to develop your style. So, this is a really well discussed topic in the art community. It's something that, I looked up on YouTube years ago when I started getting into digital art again. And there are a lot of opinions. So nothing is more appropriate for a video about finding your own style than a redraw. So I'll just play a redraw here of something that I first drew about 2 years ago versus how it's going to come out now. So first off, when we're talking about drawing a style, right, and finding something that is our style, it's really important to understand that what you like to look at versus what you like to draw can be two totally different things. All right. Hopefully you're going to like what you draw, but for example, there are tons of artists that I love and admire how they draw. I love the finished look. There's a lot of, very well rendered semi-realism with lots of shading, lots of detail. I love looking at it, and I hate drawing it. I hate doing it. It takes too long. It's too much blending and this and that, and it's not for me to do. But I will sit here and I will appreciate anyone who does it, and I will love their work, right? So in the end, you need to make a style for yourself that you want to do, because the point of drawing, at least for me, is to have fun while I'm doing it. If I'm not enjoying it, I won't be happy with the finished product. And I think you can really tell if I forced myself to draw something versus if I enjoyed it. So step number 1 is determining what you like to draw, what is fun for you. Then, and here is where some people may disagree with what I have to say, find artists that you admire, that draw in a way that you enjoy, and then don't copy them, okay? Don't copy them, but look for the aspects of their work that make it attractive to you. Does that make sense? So you're not trying to trace or copy or do exactly what someone else is doing, but you want to figure out why you like it. So for example, again, if you go back and look at some of my old work, most of it I've archived by now because I like to keep my socials under 100 posts. I was not very particular with my line work. Not as much as I am now. So when I was, admiring and following other artists and looking at what do they do that makes their art look so good to me, right? Because maybe someone else doesn't like that artist, but I love them. Why? One aspect that I kept seeing over and over and over again in pieces that I loved, regardless of how they were colored, was very detailed and precise line work. So I took that for myself. All right, let me grab line work and let me work on that. Let me see what I like. I started looking into line weights. I started looking into hatching in order to make more depth in my artwork, which is actually something that I've started more recently doing within the last year, since around January, and I think you can see that too. Another example is cell shading. So like I said, I really don't like fully rendering a picture. It's really hard and tedious and time consuming to me. Again, if you do that, that's amazing. It looks so cool, but doing it is not for me. Cell shading is a coloring style that, in my opinion, complements detailed line work, right? So all the effort and the love that I put into line work, which I really like doing it'll be gone if I use the wrong coloring methods. which also you can see going back to my history that I spent a whole month just doing monochromatic coloring so I could focus more on line work. And that's where I, developed it. So bringing back in coloring, because, okay, I liked monochromatic, that's fun, but my characters have a lot of color, and the color is really important. Another thing that I don't want to encourage, but at the same time, in this one case, I'm grateful for it. I received unsolicited criticism. Constructive, but still, I didn't ask for it. Telling me that my coloring was very muddy, which was true. But again, if you're not ready to hear certain criticisms or feedback, it can be hard to listen to. The muddy coloring style that I had before was not attractive to me. Again, this is all to me. So if you enjoy a more, muddy and blended style, that's awesome, but it's not for me. And they introduced me to cell shading. So I did some research, tried to figure out what it is. And as I got more and more into using cell shading, I started to back further and further away from rendering. So you're going to see here in the speed paint that I barely mix colors at all anymore. I mostly just use cell shading on a multiply layer and move on with my life. And then that's also, to bring up, talking about cell shading, that further forced me, I guess you could say, into another thing that I think that my style is really known for, and that is heavy shadows. I don't do it all the time, but I do it in a lot of important scenes, and that is using a shadow layer over the top to blend the environment in with the characters and cause a lot of drama in the picture. So as you can see, I'm starting to name these things that I do, right? And I picked them all up from looking at other artists that I enjoy, what they do, seeing how I could implement the other aspects of art and drawing that I don't particularly enjoy into the part that I do like, complementing that, and then, of course, working through what suits my purpose. Right? So, for example, that last part of a dramatic environment. I am a comic artist. So a dramatic environment is really, really important to my story. So I had to find a way to do that. And now it's part of my style. So without even thinking about it, without sitting down at the table and poring over what can I do to make this unique to me, all of a sudden, not really a sudden, I guess over time, over a couple of years now, I started drawing in a certain way, incorporating all of these aspects that are now unique to me. So even though I picked up pieces from this artist or from that criticism, and I was able to develop a style that people now recognize as blue, You can look at my work, regardless of what I draw, whether it's my original characters or not, and you can say, oh, Auntie Blue drew this. This is from Blue Rabbit Comics. So whether or not you're sitting down and actively trying to make a style, I have great news for you. You're already doing it. You are already developing your style. And it is absolutely 100% okay if you scrap it and start over. There have been many times that I have completely changed how I draw. Less so recently because I'm pretty happy with it now, but as I said, you can look at this picture that I started the beginning of my drawing career like 2 years ago, and then look at what I have now. It's like 2 different people drew it, but it's still me. So with that unscripted 10-minute talk about developing your own art style, I guess I would have to say that the main points to consider are: find what you like to draw Find artists that you admire and determine why you admire them. Don't copy, but find the aspects that you love about their work. Find the either coloring or lines or whatever it is that complements the thing that you love. And then make sure that whatever you're working on suits your end goal, right? So if you're trying to draw a comic, make sure that your style is susceptible to being quick and dynamic, right? But if you're doing something like prints, you might want to do something more detailed, and you would want your style to reflect that. So good luck to all of my art friends and my art nieces, nephews, children, and other. This is a journey, and it never stops. So as long as you're having fun on the way, that's what matters, right? All right, I think that's a good place to stop this video. Take a look at my finished redraw. I still see a few things that I would want to change, but you know what? That's okay. Definitely, I feel an improvement from before. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. In the meantime, please make good decisions. All right, see ya.